everyone! Welcome back to my channel. I am Little Fawn and welcome to this week's Wisdom from Beyond. And we are continuing with the ASHA transcriptions. I know for my very first my very first post here on this new channel, I gave a very recent transcription from them. And by transcription, I just mean that they hijacked my meditation and I start scribbling it down furiously, and then I bring it in to my computer so that I can not have to decode my chicken scratch and read it to you as they gave it to me. So these transcriptions here are a continuation from a series I started on my old channel called Friday Night Light. And on that channel, I had been going back to the ASHA files when they first started coming through me. And so they had never been shared before. And the way these things work when you are connecting with beings and entities and energies that are outside of the time-space continuum that we are still playing around inside of in the third dimension, it's always the right time. So when I received it, it was the right time for me. And now that it's being shared, it's the right time for the collective. So there is no, oh, that's old news kind of thing. It's just universal wisdom that comes pouring through and then is offered up when there is a harmonic resonance within the collective that starts to pulse in this magnetic waveform that will then call this wisdom back to them. The other part of it is too, as soon as I sit to do these and tap into that energy, it starts flowing not as strongly as it would if I was doing sort of that semi-trance, closed eye meditation, channeling, like direct channeling through my face, through my voice. But there is still a connection that free flows once I tap into the frequency of the message they have to offer. So for those of you who want to start at the beginning of the ASHA files, I'll be bringing them over to this channel and I'm gonna put them in a playlist that is labeled Friday Night Light, and you'll be able to see them all in order. And I'm also gonna bring over the interviews I did with my friend, soul brother Brandon Everett, who is a gifted mindfulness teacher, and I'll bring those over too, so you can kind of get a more in-depth feel of me, who I am, where I've come from, and also he does question and answer with me. So we talk to ASHA. We talked to Kaspari, who is usually my representative for the Royal Starline Collective, and we talked to my Atlantean self. I'm trying to think. Oh, and Katara, my special. She's like my interface. She's my it's like my higher self energy. So yeah, so today I'm continuing with the series where I left off, which is after a beautiful meditation that they gave me, which I'm also going to put here as well. So I'll bring that over so that you don't feel like you're kind of behind, but like I said, there is no such thing as behind. It's all in right time. So even if you were to go back and say, you know, I just posted the May energy report. Even if you didn't see that until October, if it popped up and you watched it, there would be beneficial and relevant frequencies for you at your moment of receiving it. So all of this wisdom, and the way I read cards is very similar. It's intuitive. It's to help give an energy read as opposed to predicting. I think I've said it in the description, I think, of the playlist for those, but I don't believe in a fixed future. I believe we are co-creating it with every breath, every thought, every word, every action that we take. And so for me to give you something to adhere to would be irresponsible, because you get to cast that line to whatever you want. So I don't need to tell anybody this is just what's going to happen, or this is, you know what I mean? Like maybe it will. Sometimes stuff can be predictive, but that's for those reports. But anyway, manifestation is locking in on a frequency that you wish to achieve and then moving to that point. But if somebody tells you something's going to happen, you pull yourself in that direction. Whereas if there's just an overall energetic read or offering, then you get to have this blueprint of what's present in and around that time and space, and begin to co-create from within harmonics that support what you want to manifest, if that makes sense. So I say all that just to say that when again, I'm reading these transcriptions, which these channelings started coming through at the end of 2021. You're not behind, you're not out of order, you didn't miss anything. It doesn't matter. You're getting what you need at exactly the time that you need it. And if you want to go down the rabbit hole of the others and start them from the beginning, do it. If you want to just pop onto ones that resonate or look a little extra sparkly to you, do that. There's no wrong way to do it. I have a couple of astrology books, and you could read them start to finish, but it'd be very dense because it's all of the signs and all of the planets and all of the things. So naturally I just flipped mine or like my partner's. So anyway, so this is the 6th transmission in the ASHA Files, and it's funny how they gave me what they gave me last week, and now we're going back to the same subject but inside of a slightly different harmonic. So they start, we would like to speak today of time, the concept of time, the illusion of time, the myth that is time. When you live in the present, time ceases to exist. In its place, only infinite potential. We know time to be malleable. As beings of the sea, we understand how to play in the moment, moving fluidly with the water and the wind, dancing with the light. Here, there is no time. Here simply is. We simply are. As children, you would get lost in play for hours. The potent power of pure imagination creates an opening, a portal to the place that is infinite potential. It is a place of simultaneous movement and suspension. Similarly, the writer, artist, musician can get lost inside the sacred flow of creation. Here, time also ceases to exist. There is only flow. Flow born from the light inside the child inside of you. You are. That is it. You are. I am. I am. And so, yes, that is the easiest way, I think, or feel rather, to understand that time is a construct that we've created in order to better move through the third dimension. However, we've all experienced pockets of flow when we are doing what we're meant to do, we're in complete joy, we're playing, and again, kids are great at it. Their moments are long. Like if you think about the amount of growth a child or like a new being experiences in the first year of their life, it's so dense and long and stretchy, and then with each year it gets shorter and shorter and shorter and shorter. But we have the capacity to stretch simply by staying in the moment, and babies can only be in the moment. They only know love, fear, hunger, satiation, joy, they only sleep, you know, they have very basic functions, and they're sensory. So it's they're in the moment. In this moment, I'm hungry, and I think I think I used this example before. I'm going to scream until, you know, I am fed. But as we get older, we're a little more nuanced. We've expanded, we've grown, we have better language, but also inside of that, we get wrapped up in the mind. Again, where children are sensory. The older we get stuck here. And I did a workshop last Sunday, and we were doing a quantum healing meditation, and then at the end I was going around doing light language activations and a little bit of Reiki on the crown and the heart. And my one friend who was in there, they literally were having me like tunnel from source, but like through her crown, and creating an opening so that it was clear coming in and settling in her heart, instead of getting stuck here, which is where most things get stuck in humans. And that's where time no longer becomes an ally. Like, time is great when you're like, hey, let's meet at 3 p.m. to do a thing. And in the future, we'll be able to just send out the harmonic and show up. Like when that kind of whole telepathic, those telepathic frequencies start getting stronger and we start trusting them, we won't even need it anymore in that capacity. But it was never meant to rule in the same way that the mind was never meant to rule. It was meant to be in service to the heart. So yeah, and in the heart space is where flow is born. It's just like when I'm making music. Sometimes I get stuck in my head of, oh, I'm not like, you know, a trained sound engineer, super great at it, and then I'll get fixated on how nothing sounds good or the way I think it should. But when I throw all of that out the window and just play, I'm always really, really excited and happy at the end of that session. But when I'm trying to make something, I lose time. I feel like, what was the point? Nothing turned out. So that surrender, that release into flow, into your sacred flow that comes from that heart connection, that will bring you outside of time and into that field of infinite potential. So they continue. You are not how you spend your time, but how you spend your time can shape who you are. We are, each one of us, all a result of the sum of our choices. But we would say that it would be prudent to look back across the span of these choices with a clear and compassionate eye, with your all-seeing, all-knowing eye, and gather the wisdom garnered. Keep only what is of value moving forward, and let everything else go. For there is an infinite number of choices to be made, an infinite time in which to make them, many dreams to pull down to earth. And it's so funny how this is echoing very much the energy of May, where we will be spending the first half of it letting go, completing some of those cycles that have been little hamster wheel-esque in their nature, so that we can roll out into something new, but we need to travel lighter. And that means you can't carry the baggage. You have to use that compassionate eye to really see from that higher octave frequency observer state, so that you can gather, oh, I see what my soul did there. Oh, I see what that had to offer. And again, there's always an offering. So you pull that all in and you let everything else go. And that's how you can, again, move into that field of infinite potentiality. And you can do anything. Anything you want. I'll say it again, anything. You just have to cast the line, trust in the choice and the truth of it, and the truth in your capacity to move towards it, with everything that you do, you know? And when you do that from a place of fun, and not, I have to get this done and this project and this thing or whatever, it's not about that. It's about just moving towards something that feels fun in a way that is fun. And there's a lot of people who would think, oh, that's not how the real world works. But like, what is the real world? We are creating our own real worlds, each one of us. And then collectively there is, has been a consensus of like what we have been told or what we have come to believe that the real world is supposed to be. But pay attention to the kids, pay attention to the artists, pay attention to the people who are coloring outside the lines, and get curious. Because this is where the future is. And I've said it before too, artists can live in any career. That's not the word I want, but that's the word that I'm going to use. Artists live in any vocation. So you can be an accountant and be an artisan. You can be, a shoe salesman and be an artisan. You can be a janitor and be an artisan. You can be a lawyer, a doctor, a singer, a painter. It all counts. It all is valid. It all has value. If you're coming into it with that curiosity and that wonder and that sense of joy and being able to both offer up your magic and then see what kind of flow that generates back to you, not in kind of a quid pro quo intention, but just offering it up and seeing how it chooses to return to you, kind of informed and colored and layered with the harmonics of where it landed, who it touched before it rolls back to you. So play around with that. Play around with it. They continue. Oh, every time it's an ASHA day, I need a lot of water. So now we'll continue. They say, your life on earth is not a race. And that's the other thing. There is no race. There is no finish line. It's always in motion. It's always in motion. So it's not about getting there and then what, you're just gonna stand there and be like, yay, I did the thing. The soul, and I know I feel like I've just said this, but I'm gonna say it again because it's important. The soul is always seeking expansion. So just take your time. The more you soak it in, and not worry about being chased by time or trying to outrun time, the more time you will have, the more it'll work in your favor. It'll stretch, it'll bend in the ways that support what it is that you are choosing to express and experience. So, your life on earth is not a race. They say it is not important to be first. You are all the first of your unique kind simply by being. Comparison is a fool's game, another illusion designed to keep you from reaching your fullest potential, from fulfilling that which only you can fulfill. It distracts you from doing what it is that you came here to do. Anchor the light on your earth during this time of great transformation in a way that only you can do. Just do the thing, whatever it is. And don't worry about what anyone else is doing or how they are doing it, because it doesn't matter. Only matters, if you want to co-create where there are harmonics or where there's discord, you don't need to lean in, but don't compare yourself, because no two of us are the same at all, and that's the point. The point is that you are you. That's the point. So, how do you do this? How do you anchor the light on your earth during this time of great transformation in a way that only you can do it? How do you do it? They tell you, by allowing yourself to be, by expanding beyond all self-imposed limitations, which will allow for expansion beyond the limitations of others. Gonna read that one again. By expanding beyond all self-imposed limitations, which will allow for expansion beyond the limitations of others. So when you, and I'm an Aries, I've said it before, an Aries sun, and the best and worst thing you can say to an Aries is, you can't do that. Then immediately we're like, okay, so watch me though. Or if you say, this is mandatory. It's our least favorite word in the English language. We're immediately like, man, now we can't. So best worst thing you can do. So this is others saying like, oh, you can't do this. Okay, well, maybe you think I can't do it because you don't believe you can do it. But I'm just gonna try. And if I fall on my face, oh well, I'll have a good time. I'll have a good laugh. And then I'll figure out if, you know, that lesson was meant to help me find a new way to do it, or if it's not for me. But like, it doesn't matter. And when you start to, I love being surprised by people. I love when you look at someone and the human part of your brain goes, there's no way. And then they do it and it's just the best thing because you're like, okay, all right. And then it's inspiring for you. Because this is like, I used to work for a woman who said, you know, whenever she was a chiropractor, is a chiropractor, and she would tell people who are afraid of childbirth to think of the whiniest, most annoying, like, can't do anything girl that they went to school with as a kid. And then realize that that person has a child. And then it immediately goes, oh, well, if, you know, Susie G can have a baby, then I certainly can have a baby. You know what I mean? So it's like we're all capable of anything. And it was a good thing to like shift people's minds. But we're all capable of anything. And so you have to close out the noise and just do the thing. And if it's not what anybody else is doing, even better. Somebody's got to be first. And then when you do it, other people it's like, oh, well, son of a gun. I sound like Bob Ross now. Son of a gun. They did that. I'm gonna try my thing because maybe it is possible. So in that space, you've now allowed yourself to transcend your own fear and give someone else permission to transcend their own. So you just have to be you and be brave and don't be afraid of falling because it's the only way you learn how to fly. Okay, so we expand, spread your wings. What a great segue that I didn't know I was making. So they say after that, spread your wings. Even if it feels like there isn't room for you to do so, you must create space wherever you are. And that's a big thing for right now too. There aren't a whole lot of us that have exactly what we need to do exactly what we want at exactly this moment. It doesn't matter. We actually do have exactly what we need to get started. And when we get started, the other things will start to move into our sphere of creation because we're generating the energy that will magnetize it or the collaborators or whatever to us. So we have to just trust in that. My partner right now, we have a very small space for him to paint. So it's not as big as he's used to, and you know, ultimately we're gonna have to figure that out. But it only matters that he paints. And as soon as he picked up his brush, you know, an offer came in from out of nowhere because he picked up his brush. He generated the energy. So you gotta use what you got, start where you are, and trust that when you start to spread your wings, the walls will expand. The cage will open up. It will. I promise. They promise. So expand. So how do you do this? By allowing yourself to spread your wings, even if it feels like there isn't room for you to do so. You must create space wherever you are. Shatter the walls of the glass house you have built yourself, always looking out, but never going out. Take a risk. The universe will always cushion the fall of those who try. Those who risk big for the greater good, for your own expansion, is for the greater good. So that is a very true thing. Even if you fall, it will ultimately be into flight. I think I've told this story before, but not on my new channel. So Italians talk a lot, talk with our hands, and repeat ourselves. But I have some of my voice students, I call them littles, and they're between like 6 and 10-ish. And one of them, she's 7, and she's very, she's definitely, you know, ADHD, very hyperactive. And part of what I realized I was meant to do was just give her a safe space to, like, just be herself, just express and create, and give her little creative tools on how to focus. But she loves animals, and she's a good little singer, but she loves animals. She wants to be a vet for like a wildlife sanctuary when she grows up. But she likes all the animals that, you know, most of us are like, no thanks. She likes snakes and bats and, you know, all of the creepy crawly type things. So she came in one day and she was like, can I tell you a story about bats? And I was like, obviously, yes, you can. And she said, well, their little wings are not strong enough to like fly, like to take off and launch them. And she was like, and their little legs aren't strong enough so that they can go fast enough that they can get any lift, like if they were to run and try to do it. And she's like, so you know what they do? And I said, no, I don't know what they do actually. She was like, they climb trees and they hang upside down and then they let go and fall into flight. Isn't that the saddest thing you've ever heard? And I was like, oh my God, it's the most beautiful thing I've ever heard. I was like, it's so beautiful. They just go, okay, I'm gonna let go. I'm gonna let go and trust if I spread my wings that I will catch air and I will take flight. And that is true for us. It's my favorite, one of my favorite stories. These littles, I swear, teach me as much as I'm attempting to teach them. But it's one of my favorite stories because the bat uses what it has and then it trusts. It trusts in the tumble. It's only in the tumble that we learn. It's only in the tumble that we can fly. So the universe will always cushion the fall of those who try. And there's been no more important time than now to try. There is no such thing as failure, only continuous evolution. I'm gonna say that one again too. There is no such thing as failure, only continuous evolution. The movement must always be forward. So take with you only the valuable lessons and tools that will help fine-tune and sharpen the sacred intention of the soul, the active dream, manifestation in motion. That's what we are. We are manifestation in motion. And so of course we can manifest if we harness that power truly from our heart centers. For there isn't simply one single destination. Each destination is fluid, opening into the next expansion beyond what you thought possible, beyond your perceived sense of human capability. And this is important to understand because we are meant to co-create with Source, which is where we came from, what we are a part of, what we are deep within our soul. So we're meant to co-create. It's not about doing it all by yourself. And when you open yourself up to saying, hey, this is what I'd like to do, and this is how I want to feel. This is how I want to feel when I'm doing it. And then surrender it. Say, okay, universe, I'm open. I'm open to following the signs, the whispers, the synchronicities, even if they don't seem like things that make sense in my brain. I've kind of burrowed that hole down into my heart center and I trust in that pulse. And I was just talking about in the monthly, it's like when we're able to just pulse, it'll create space for us to glide. And we pulse and we glide. I always think of little seahorses. It's like, that's kind of how they do. They pulse it and then they slide on in that little space they made with that pulse, because like they don't have like arms or legs or things to swim with. So it's just them, you know, pulse and glide. And when you do that, you create flow. So yeah, manifestation in motion. You are so much more than the humanity that you chose to incarnate into. And we ask that you remember that you did choose to be here, or you would not be here at all. And how long you are here and what you choose to do while you are here is completely up to you. Because as we have already said, time is malleable. It bends, it stretches, it speeds up, it slows down, it suspends. It's an illusion in your own making, so wield it one. For there is infinite supply once you tap into the sacred flow of one. And in the beginning, ASHA was, their main mantra is that frequency of one, which is source. It's your connection, your source point frequency, as it connects to that point of exit, of fractalization from source. So that frequency of one, when you tap into that from your heart center, that's when you start to open up the field, not just for what you want to create, but for the helpers that are beyond what you could have envisioned for yourself. Yeah, and you, again, our souls knew what they were doing, know what they are doing. We decided, we were like, this is when we're coming in, this is how we're coming in, this is who we're coming in as, and these are the things we want to learn, these are the things we want to teach. And sure, there's complete freedom and free will inside of that to do all of that, however feels fun or interesting to us. And we'll stay as long as we like. And we can leave whenever and however we like. I always, since I was a little kid, just figured, well, one day I'll just wake up somewhere new when I'm done here. And I rather like that vision, so I'm sticking to it. That's my little ping for manifestation. Anyway, they continue on. So we would advise you to stop trying to measure something that both doesn't exist, they're talking about time here, that both doesn't exist and also has infinite measure. There is no age by which you are meant to achieve certain goals. I'm gonna say that one again, especially for all of the women out there who are constantly told that, you know, you're too long on the tooth, nope, too late for you. There's an age where, you know, women, we start to feel invisible, you know, and it's at the age where we are becoming our most empowered and our most beautiful, because we're stepping into who we really are. And it's right, it's the right time. Youth, you're figuring it out, you know. Youth, you don't really know who you are. You're still new. You're playing, you're bumbling, you're fumbling, except you're less afraid to make mistakes because you're young. We're invincible when we're young. That's why we get away with doing dumb stuff. But when you're older and you're more cautious, you start to place these limitations on yourself. And really, it's very freeing to be, I just turned 50 on March 31st, and I've never felt more, with the exception of perimenopause, which does weird stuff, but I've never felt more in my body, connected to my source point frequency, more authentically me and beautifully me than I do now. And that's in spite of all of like the weird things that are happening with the peri. So that's when life begins. You know, you spend the first chunk of it playing and dabbling and figuring it out and scraping your knees and getting back up. But when you get here, it's like you can really make conscious, intentional pulses and open up into some really amazing things. So I had a student just last week say that I'll probably stop singing when I'm like 60 because, you know, and I was like, what? Like, what? No, you won't. Not if singing is your thing. Your voice will finally be yours. You know what I mean? Like, Cheetah Rivera was dancing until the day she died. Rita Moreno is still dancing. There's no expiration date on that kind of expression. So it's time to change that stigma and start celebrating the energy of the crone, the wise woman and the wise man, those who have been here long enough to know who they are and know what it is that they're contributing, even just simply by our being. So yeah, let me move back here. Yes, there's no age by which you are meant to achieve certain goals. You are meant to be ever evolving. Your soul knows this. It chose to be housed in earthly form in order to expand and evolve in ways that would be otherwise impossible. You chose to be here now, born inside a set of limits you placed upon yourself for the soul, S-O-L-E, /soul, S-O-U-L, purpose of expanding beyond all of them. I mean, and I just, again, said it in a recent post. They're all starting to blur together. But it's like we literally were up there drunk on Stardust saying, what kind of insane labyrinth can I draw for myself? And then I'm going to erase my memory and see if I can get out, or see how I get out. We know we're going to get out, but let's see how we do it. Let's see what we can create, how we can use our magic to start to realize that the maze is the third dimension. And when you start to lift and shift and you spiral up, you don't have to do the maze the long way. You can take quantum leaps, which is very cool. So yes, you chose to be here now, born inside a set of limits that you placed upon yourself for the soul purpose of expanding beyond all of them. Some souls burn brightly and swiftly, igniting and extinguishing seemingly in an instant. That is the chosen journey, a flash, a revelation, and then back into the void. As humans, inside of the limitations you have placed on yourself, it isn't always easy for you to understand this, and yet once again, it is exactly what you have come here to understand. Your very existence is a simultaneous waking up and expansion, and we know this isn't always easy. Oftentimes, like the now times, it is quite messy. But the more awakened you become, the more you surrender to the sacred flow of one, to infinite potential, the easier this journey will become. We promise you this. So shake off the shackles of your own construct of time and surrender to the sacred flow of one. This is the sacred flow of you, for they are one and the same. And then they close. I apologize, it's getting dark, but my little $14 ring light, little bebe, her light got tired. So she makes a good prop for the phone. So I need to get a new one. But so we have mood lighting for this week's ASHA. And speaking of light, you are all infinite light and love, and you have been tasked with bringing that light and love into the world you now inhabit in order to lift it out of the darkness it has sunken down into, a darkness of your own creation. Be brave in your knowing, be brave in your doing. Being a trailblazer is difficult. Often it is seemingly impossible, but we know. And we would ask for you to trust that nothing is impossible in a world of your own making. I'm gonna repeat that one too. There's lots of repeatables. Nothing is impossible in a world of your own making. Lock that in. Know it, feel it, refer back to it. So blaze the trail so that others may follow. Once again, we urge you to be in community with each other. In this way, work becomes play, and to play is to suspend time. And inside the suspension of time lies infinite potential. Anything is possible. You make it so simply by your being, your knowing, and your trusting. So surrender to the sacred flow of one. That is all for now. We leave you in love always, for you are love. Yes, so that is lovely. Yeah, just remember that. I'm going to leave you in love right there. Just remember, you are love. And this reality is one that you're making. And we are here as a collective, and we are more and more waking up to that fact. There will be a time when we are known as a human collective more broadly, when we open into galactic participation and awakening, and not just races and countries and cities and states and all of that. We're starting to become aware that this is something that we all came down here to do together. And even though there are so many different pockets of frequency spectrums within the human collective consciousness, those harmonics are going to eventually settle into a place where the entirety of it lifts and shifts together. So I'll leave you with this. Do not fear about getting left behind, or that those you love will get left behind, because ultimately we're all on the same evolutionary path. It's just that each one of us is doing it in a way that is unique to us, tailored to and for us, and will happen in divine right timing for us as we co-create it with Source and with those around us who are moving within those harmonics. So everybody is ultimately going to arrive at this new earth, fifth dimensional playing field, the spectrum. But we're all going to get there in different ways and in different times, but all time is the right time. So just begin now to stretch your own, move from love, pulse, glide, move into that sacred flow, and allow yourself to fall into flight. Okay, I'm going to leave you there. I hope you have a beautiful weekend, and I will see you next time.